Okay, so the InstallFree Encapsulator is actually a set of tools that are used for the creation and manipulation of application on demand or AOD files, which are the main components that make up InstallFree Virtual Applications. The main tool which is used for creating AODs is the AOD Builder, which provides the packager with a virtual desktop environment which is not based on a VM, but rather on InstallFree's own IFV engine, which is the same engine that provides virtual applications with the runtime components substituting those of an underlying OS. When the AOD Builder is launched, the first layer to be created is the Power Guest layer, which denies any write access to the host computer and acts as a sandbox for the virtual environment. This is the same layer used by InstallFree's virtual applications to sandbox themselves when running on endpoints. The second layer launched is the environment's language base, which contains language resources as well as a virtual instance of Internet Explorer. Like the Power Guest layer, the language base too is used on endpoints by IFV applications. Once the language base was loaded, the IFV engine is fired up. And the IFV engine provides the environment with all the resources usually provided by the physical OS. And again, the same layer is used by IFV applications on endpoints. But unlike virtual applications, the next layer loaded is the emulator that simulates a regular Windows XP environment. And an empty file is created which will eventually contain all the data and files written during the time in which the virtual environment was active. Once the environment has been built, the packager loads a setup or installation file and runs it just as he would on any Windows machine. But the files and data are not written into the environment, but rather to the external file. It is this file that is at the end of the process saved as an AOD, which can then run on any Windows platform on top of the foundations provided by the Power Guest, base, and engine. When the actual virtual application is launched, all the different components bind at runtime and perform just like any regular application would. Okay, so now let's see how this process looks in real life. So first I'll run the InstallFree Encapsulator. You can see here the main tools associated with creating and editing AODs. Additional tools for more advanced purposes like editing an AOD's registry file. The encapsulation profiles, which are usually used when the same application or type of application is packaged frequently, and the cleaning profiles that perform tasks such as removing junk files from AODs. But for now, let's just run the AOD Builder and try to encapsulate Firefox. So, I'll click the AOD Builder button here. Click Next, and here you can see a screen that allows me to choose the different components to be introduced into the environment, such as .NET Framework, TAPI, and WebDAV. You can also choose the language base you prefer, and you usually change a language base if you want a specific version of Internet Explorer to be incorporated into the environment. So I'll just click Next here. In this screen, I can add other objects to the environment in their AOD form for different tasks, such as creating separately packaged AODs out of updates and add-ons. For instance, I can add an AOD of MS Office to this screen, and once I'm inside the environment, I'll have MS Office appearing as if it is installed. And then I can just install an add-on for Excel, for instance, and the resulting AOD will contain only the add-on that I've installed. Afterwards, I can modularly deploy the two packages separately, and they will bind at runtime on the endpoint. But in this case, I don't need to add any AODs, so I'll just click Finish and wait for the environment to build itself. So we're now switched into the AOD Builder's virtual environment, and as you can see, it's a completely normal Windows XP desktop. So I'll click Browse here to locate the installation file. Choose Firefox, click Open, and Run. And as you can see, the Firefox installer just launched, so I'll install it just as I would normally. And I'll click Finish and run it just to see it's working. And as you can see, Firefox started as if it was installed into the environment. And now let's just go to InstallFree's website and see that it functions normally. And everything seems to be okay. So let's close this. Check to see that icons and shortcuts are in place. Check the entry in the Add Remove programs. And as you can see, Firefox thinks it's installed into the environment. So I'll close this and exit the virtual environment. And now all that's left is to save the AOD file, and that's it.